Hey everyone, it is Grant Winsauer of the Bear Clawcast. I am currently without my co-host Jack Rody for today because of a school function, but I was lucky enough to have my cousin, who is the great Patriots fan, fill in for him today. And it worked out well because, what are the chances that you get to fill in on the Patriots week? We had you on on our last one on Saturday for the preview episode. So I'm happy to have you back for the post episode. And it is Veterans Day, so happy Veterans Day to all the veterans out there who have served this country. In fact, there are a couple of NFL players that served this country, including the late great Pat Tillman. And Max, why don't you go into who actually played in a game yesterday for
Yeah, the long snapper for the Patriots, Joe Cardona. He is also a veteran. Played about six snaps yesterday, so we got to see him on TV. It's pretty exciting. He's a cool dude.
That's awesome. Well, you have to be happy for how the Patriots looked yesterday. I mean, at least you got the win. It didn't necessarily, go great for stats wise, but except the defensive stats, which we will get into in a little bit. So why don't you go into what you liked yesterday?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest things were that the Patriots ran well, which we have not been doing since May took over, and our defense played good for the first time since maybe the first couple weeks of the season. Can probably credit that to the Bears, but it's still fun to see.
Yeah, so today we're going to be going over the good, the bad, prediction, recap, over, under, and the outlook for the rest of the season for both teams. Before we get into all of this sadness for the Bears fans, we would like to remind everyone to like, subscribe, and comment to the Bear Clockcast so we can bring you the best Bears content possible, no matter how depressing it may be. And I'm probably gonna be saying that for the rest of the season because it will be pretty depressing because of our schedule. This was another game where the Bears could not get anything going. They only scored 3 total points. The highlight of the day was for the Bears was probably honoring Devin Hester at halftime. The Bears did get a good interception on Drake May, but I thought they would contain him a little bit better than they did because, uh, you know, Drake May doesn't have any standout number one receivers. But, based on what he has and what he looks like, I think that the Patriots got a real one. In Drake May, and all they have to do now is get him weapons. The last thing that the Bears did well was they did do very good against the outside rush, but once they went inside, it just went downhill from there. But when you think about when you're going to the outside and running towards Montez Sweat, you kind of get nervous. So I understand that. Max, why don't you go into what you thought went well for the Bears and the Patriots?
Yeah, I think for the Bears, the biggest thing that went well was their pass rush and containing May. He's a real weapon on the ground, and he only really had one run that made any impact. So I think that was really successful. And for the Patriots, I think it's similar. That pass rush really got home yesterday. They got 9 sacks, which kind of speaks for itself. So Caleb Williams was under pressure all day long.
Yeah, I can agree with that. There was a lot of bad for the Bears yesterday, starting with Caleb Williams' accuracy. He was missing on all of his throws, whether they were easy or hard. Now, I will say it wasn't all on him. He has no offensive line, and the play calling wasn't helping him at all, which I will go into next. However, at some point, Williams needs to take more responsibility for the struggles of the offense because when you're the number one overall uh, pick and you are seen as the next Patrick Mahomes or next Aaron Rodgers, you have to do better than what he has shown. But you know, he's coming into a team with a terrible offensive line. Uh, the next thing that didn't help the team was play calling. I can't believe that the plays that were being called with this offensive line combination that the Bears are currently working with. This needs to be fully overhauled during the offseason. I would at least say 3 out of the 5 positions need to be take or figured out either via free agency or the draft. I would say that those positions would most likely be um, all the both guard spots and center. But I'm not the one who runs the Bears, although I think I could do a better job than uh, who is currently running it. But why don't you go into what you thought went bad for the Patriots yesterday, Max?
Yeah, I think it was really there was just one area where the Patriots were outplayed all game, and that had to be special teams. Allowing that big punt return at the beginning of the game, getting a penalty on a kickoff for not kicking it far enough, and then Marcus Jones, who's our best special teams player, fumbling on one of his returns and then being hesitant on a couple others. I think that's really the big advantage the Bears had was special teams.
Yeah, I can see where you would take that. Before we get into the next topic, Bears fans, we would like to remind everyone to subscribe, like, and comment to the Bear Clawcast so we can bring you the best Bears content possible, no matter how depressing it may be. Next, we're going to go over our predictions from last video. We all thought the Bears would win, and boy, we were all wrong. My co host, Jack, who is not here with us today, says we need to clean house with this coaching staff, and I think all Bears uh, fans would agree. He also said, let me see if I can pull up what he said. Uh, um, oh, he also said he thought the running game was what killed us. Uh, and he said, Max, you should have predicted the 6 sacks for the Pats, not the Bears. So,
Yeah.
you messed up a little on that, but that's just a little funny thing there. But actually, for the predictions, Jack still did the best out of 3 of us, getting 3 predictions right, with them being Drake May over on rushing yards, Williams under on passing yards, and under on Bears sacks, which we actually all agreed that the Bears would be under on sacks. Um, why don't you go into your why you picked those certain predictions for last video, Max?
Yeah, so I predicted the Bears win off the top. That was wrong, like you said. I just watching Williams play in college, I had really high expectations, and I haven't watched him much in the NFL yet.
Mm,
So I just really didn't expect him to be missing the throws he did. Um, and then as far as sacks, I think I was the only one who picked over on May, and Jack was definitely right that May is hard to bring down. I think he eluded 5 sacks that could have been if he was less mobile. Um, and then I picked under on interceptions, which I was right, but I was wrong at the same time because you guys let me know he was a gunslinger all through college, and he did. He threw up what could have been probably 3 easy interceptions that didn't get caught, but only got the one turnover. So yeah,
mhm.
I'd say that was my thought process behind those picks.
Yeah, I mean, all a good thought process. Drake May definitely had the better game between the two rookie quarterbacks, even though they were both iffy games, I would say. May completed 15 out of 25 passing attempts for 184 yards and one passing touchdown and one interception. He also added four or 24 rushing yards on 4 attempts. Williams completed 16 for 30 of 30 for 120 passing yards and 15 rushing yards. I see a play calling change being imminent because if there isn't anything anything changed, nothing good will happen. But still, I don't see us winning another game. But let's just talk about this for a second. Uh, Drake May had one passing touchdown. So you're telling me that one passing touchdown is enough to beat the current Bears defense? That's pretty crazy because when you at least look at what the Bears have on defense, you would think that it's a pretty good defense. Am I wrong, Max? Or
No, you're right. I think one touchdown winning a game is crazy. I think it was not the Bears defense that caused it. It was the offense.
I can't believe. I mean, it's crazy. So I just I'm very disappointed, and it's going to be very hard to sit through. Not or wait, eight, yeah, 8 games for uh my podcast, so I can bring people news because we will probably not win another game in the next 2 months before we get to the off season. Uh, you know, before we get into our final topic, why don't I asked you this morning to go to do some research on some possible replacements for Matt Eberflus because if I mean me and Jack have alluded to it, if the Bears don't make the playoffs, Eberflus is gone, and by now it's pretty imminent that Eberflus is not making the playoffs. So why don't you go into your possible head coach replacements?
Yeah, so I'm going to skip over Ben Johnson because we talked about him
Yes,
Saturday.
yes. I'm sorry.
Um, so then I'd say my big three, Todd Monken is top of my list personally outside of Ben Johnson, just because of his creativity in Baltimore and really building that scheme around Lamar Jackson. It just shows that he knows how to kind of make a quarterback the star. And that's
Sure.
probably what Chicago needs more than anything is just for Williams to be himself and be a star. And he doesn't need that Lamar style quarterback because he was at Georgia with just some typical passing quarterbacks for a few years, and they did really well
I remember
also.
that.
And that's the SEC, so it's as close to the NFL as you can get.
Sure. Good point.
So I'd say he's up there. Kingsbury, I think, just because of Caleb Williams being the quarterback, that kind of makes it an easy connection because of the USC connection.
Sure.
And then he's
Sure.
also helped Jaden Daniels looks like rookie of the year. I think everybody agrees.
Honestly, he. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but he could be in the running for MVP with how he's been playing. I mean,
Yeah.
now I'm surprised. I'm just so surprised that he's playing so great with like no star-studded, weapons. He has one in Terry McLaurin, but you think usually when you only have one, you struggle. And now
Mm-hmm.
right now when you're looking at Caleb Williams, you're like, how are you struggling with DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Rome Odunze? Now it's because of the coaching, but you know
Mm-hmm.
at the beginning of the season on paper, we're like, holy crap, we should be throwing for 300 yards every game because of this receiver core. But why don't you go into your last coach replacement?
Yeah. So this one may be a little bit more out there, but I think Zach Robinson, the Falcons offensive coordinator, could be a great choice. He's from that McVay tree, so he has the creativity to just build a new offense for Chicago, and he's turned the Falcons into a fun offense. They haven't been a fun offense forever. Um, like I get all the Falcons games down here, so I've watched them be boring on offense for years.
Hmm.
Um, and then he just walks in the door and everything's fun. everyone on that team looks like they're having a good time.
And
They're
I
putting
mean,
up
everyone
points.
everyone on that offense is feasting. I mean,
Yeah,
you look at uh, I mean, maybe not as much, but like finally, like we get to see some of Kyle Pitts. Like, I mean, because when Arthur Smith was there, the last couple of years, when Kyle Pitts was drafted fourth overall, we're like, oh my god, holy crap, this guy must be this great if he's being drafted this high, because tight ends never get drafted that high. And I mean, he did nothing for like the first 2 or 3 years of his career, and then finally, uh, Arthur Smith gets canned, and you know it it's going well for him, but I don't think Kyle Pitts has shown enough in the last year to stay on the Falcons. I'm sorry to break that news here, but that's just
yeah,
my
I agree.
opinion.
Well, and
Uh,
I think that's a Kyle Pitts thing. It's not the Zach Robinson can't get it out of him. I think it's just
no,
other
no, it's
weapons are
just
stepping up and he's not.
yeah, it's just the fact that Kyle Pitts took too long to show his talent. That's all.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, so before we get into the final topic for today, the Bears had a press conference at noon that was going on while we were recording. Um, so Matty Eberflus is still the coach, sadly. So hopefully we're probably going to be waiting until the end of the season to finally get the news that Eberflus and the rest of this coaching staff is fired. Um, but Eberflus did say that uh, play calling change will probably happen. He said, that process will be, you know, uh, disclosed in the next few days. I The problem is the Bears don't have great options when it comes to uh, guys who can replace Waldron, but at the same time, anyone might be better than Waldron at this point because Waldron just hasn't done anything. Um, there's no change at quarterback, which shouldn't be surprising. But if you look at the options for uh, OC replacement. It could be Thomas Brown, passing game coordinator, uh, Kerry Joseph, or Chris Beatty. Joseph is our quarterbacks coach, and Beatty is our wide receiver coach. Max, out of those three, I don't know if you know much about them, but what which option do you think would be the best?
I mean, I don't know anything about those three. I would say if I'm in the Bears front office, I'd be going towards somebody involved in the running game because I feel like that's the one piece that's really working based on the one game that I watched all the way through. Anybody involved in Williams' game plan and passing, I would avoid because they're just not doing their job.
Well, the problem with that is the person that is the run game coordinator happens to also be the offensive line coach, and that's
Oh,
not working well either. So we have no options. We have no options.
yeah.
I mean, I mean, a change is good, but it nothing will help us at this point because you've hired, for the lack of a better term, middle of the road type of um, coordinators, which is why I hope the Bears and the front office finally make a swing this offseason, because that's what they need. Because I'm sure all Bears fans want this um, quarterback situation to work out because it hasn't worked out for the last couple of years. A topic that I'm actually very curious about that my dad actually brought up yesterday. So the Bears are 4-5, right? They're 4-5.
Hmm.
I don't even think I need to say hypothetically because it could happen. If the Bears lose out, right, they could get the number one pick again. I mean, I think at least.
A lot of things would need to happen, but it's definitely possible.
What needs to happen?
I think there's 7 or 8 teams with less than 4 wins. So all of
There's
them need to get up to 4 at least.
okay, off the top of my head, I know there's the Giants, the
Giants, Jags.
Panthers, the Jags, because the Giants hold the number one pick right now. That was
I think the Jaguars, they're tied. They're both 2-8.
oh well, okay, maybe it was because of it being in Munich, but yesterday, at least for a brief period of time, the Giants
Mhm.
did hold the number one draft pick.
Yeah, I think that was before the Jaguars lost.
Okay, now that makes sense. But
Mhm.
I mean, it's still possible the Bears could be in the top five at least, right?
Yeah, if they lose out, they should be top 5. A 4-win team should have
Is
a top
always
5
in the
pick.
top five. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's around if you're out of the top five, you're around 6 to 8 wins, right? Usually somewhere around there.
This year, there's a lot of bad teams win wise. I think like 5 to 7 will probably be that range.
At least last
Yeah.
year it was 7 wins because the Bears had number nine on a 7 win team. So
Hmm.
I mean it's hard. It's very sad to say, but we could be very high up in the draft boards again, which you know, uh, for a new head coach would be very enticing. But at the same time, you're like, well, how much of this roster do I actually need to rebuild? I mean, and I guess we could go into that. If you had to look at the Bears paper or the Bears roster on paper, how much of the roster do you think the Bears have to rebuild? You have to
The
rebuild the
offensive
offensive
line.
line. Uh,
That's it. That's the only problem with the Bears. Like injuries obviously hurt,
right.
but once the offensive line is fixed and their players are healthy, the Bears have a really good team, like an
Yeah.
amazing team. They just don't have play calling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'd say it's just the O line. I think you should also think, because your dad's right. If you lose out, you have a really good draft pick. If you win out, then you're beating everyone in your division twice. They're all
That's
coming
not
down,
possible.
and you get up to 12 wins. You could be you could be in the playoffs.
That's not
Easy.
possible, man. There's
Anything's possible.
okay, okay. When you look at the coaching staffs that are in the NFC North right now, Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell, and um, oh God, who am I missing? What the hell's wrong
The
with me?
Packers.
Oh well, that's the reason because I hate the Packers. And Matt Lafleur's offense, or just their entire coaching staff, and as a whole, I mean, it is 10 times better. I mean, look at yesterday. The Texans were up 23-7 at halftime and won 26-23. I mean,
Hmm.
even if we somehow played great for 3.5 quarters and let the the Lions have one half of a good quarter, they could still win.
That's true. Yeah, he had what 5 interceptions,
I
Jared
will
Carr?
say that he did have 5 interceptions. It's pretty bad, but
Pretty bad. That's terrible.
it's terrible. But I mean, uh, Dan Campbell knows how to build a staff. I'll tell him that.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
I was just
so
saying, I don't think they'll win out, but it's
yeah,
possible.
let's clarify
There's a
here.
world.
Neither of us think they will win out. It's just in a perfect world they would.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um. So uh, with that, I think that's gonna be our Oh wait, no, we have to do the final topic for, I guess, today. We kind of alluded to it, but the reason that I don't think the Bears win out or win again is because the Bears' remaining schedule is we played the Packers twice, the Vikings twice, the Lions twice, the 49ers, and the Seahawks. The only way I could see a win is against the Seahawks if they rest their starters. But again, the other teams we have to play don't even give us a chance because they have superior coaching staffs. We are gonna get run through like a bulldozer. Uh, I do agree that the Bears' offensive line needs to step up if they want to be more successful. But with the play calling needs to be better as well. We'll see who the play caller is for the rest of the season in the next couple days. Um, because there will be a change for that probably. I think that's going to be the Bears versus Patriots recap podcast for you guys today. I would like to thank my cousin for filling in for my co-host today. Bears fans, just like to remind you guys to subscribe, like, and comment to the Bear Clawcast so we can bring you the best Bears content possible, no matter how depressing it may be, and get ready for it to be quite depressing because it's going to be a challenge for the rest of the season. And I'll talk to my co-host, here in the next couple of days, maybe when we find out who the uh, new play caller is for the Bears offense. Me and him can, maybe do like a 10-minute short podcast to talk about that because I think that's important. So we'll see you guys throughout the week, and have a good week, everybody. Just make sure.